Welcome to Shade of Jade, everybody. I'm glad you came. I have an interesting subject today that I'm very excited about, in case you can't tell from my face. I have some hot apple cider here to warm me up on this. Is it so fall? Fallish day? Yummy. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about multi-universe, parallel universes, multi-dimensions, whatever you want to call it. It's funny, I actually got this idea because I was dreaming the other day that I woke up as like, I was really athletic looking. I really had like a lot of muscles and stuff. And my mom came over in the dream, and she looked completely different. Like, she looked the same, obviously, but her hairdo was different. The way she dressed was different. And basically, my dream was that I was in a different dimension where I was still Jade. My mom was still my mom, but everything else about my life was different. So I thought, what an interesting subject, right up my alley, right what kind of stuff I want to bring here. So that leaves like the dream theory of multi-universes. I looked it up, and it actually says that Native Americans and, people actually believe that when you're dreaming and you're living like a different life, that you're going and you're seeing yourself in a different universe. That with that person, which is you, but in a different universe, what they're living. So, like, if I were to make the decision to stay with my high school boyfriend for the rest of my life or something, and then I would dream about that, and whatever would happen in that dream essentially means that Jade decided to live that life, or different occupations, because every decision that you make in this theory alters your life completely. Like, if you decide to stay and live in the house that you're living in instead of moving out of town to get a job that pays more money, it doesn't mean that your life is better or worse, but it's obviously different decisions that you're going to have to make, and so on and so forth, so that there's so many yous and so many universes. And I thought that was freaking interesting. So I went down that rabbit hole, of course. And, it also, there's that theory of the Mandela effect, which I was born in 1983. So I swear to you guys, with the Mandela effect, I did think that Nelson Mandela passed away in the 1980s. I swear I remember hearing that he had passed, but he didn't. He was the first president of South Africa, and he didn't even pass until 2013. And then if you go deeper into, the Mandela effect, like they'll show you, some people remember Bernstein bears, but really it was actually Bernstein bears. I'm the person that remembers everything that was wrong. Like, from Star Wars, Luke, I am your father. That's not what he said, guys. And I watched it, and that is one of my favorite movies. And he didn't say it like that. Others examples. Oh yeah, Captain Crunch or Captain Crunch. I remember Captain Crunch. But no, it was never that way. It was Captain Crunch. Looney Tunes, Tunes, or Looney Tunes, Toons. I remember it Toons, but it's not. So, how do we explain this? Well, a lot of people are saying, obviously, it could be just false memory, or it could be that our two universes bubbled together and then collided together. There's also the theory that this whole experience of life is like a matrix, and that world shut down somehow or became extinct, so they brought us all to a different one where there's certain changes. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about the universe theory. So basically they're saying that we bubbled into another universe. So we have those memories because either I am from that other universe or I have the memories from somebody else in that universe. My mind is blown. I hope that made sense. I don't know. It's funny because I remember my oldest daughter coming to me with that theory way back when, and I'm always so interested in these things, but I didn't necessarily believe in it. But when I was looking at the stuff that actually is to compare to the stuff that I thought was, I'm thinking, how can so many people from my generation remember something that wasn't ever? So, interesting. There's also the Big Bang strange particle theory that happened in 2016. So supposedly, NASA found high energy particles signals in the Antarctica coming from the ground. There was a whole lot of science behind this. You guys can look this up. There's so much information out there for you. This could be proof, is what they're saying, of another universe that occurred during the Big Bang theory. So the Big Bang happened, and then our universe happened, and then another universe. And the other universe would mirror our universe, but everything would be backwards. So positive would be negative, left would be right, time would even be backwards. I don't know. What do you guys think? Please leave comments down below. Also, I forgot to let you guys know I need you to like if you like. Hey, push you don't like if you don't like. Subscribe and push your notifications. I got so excited I forgot my whole beginning. So those are just some of the most interesting theories that I have found that I wanted to share. But I do have a couple stories that are supposedly true, and I mean they seem legit. And I'm gonna tell you. So there was a woman named Carol Chase McElhenney, and in March in 2006, she decided that she was gonna go visit a place that she lived right after college. Well, that place her grandma had lived, and her aunt had lived as well. And her grandma and grandpa were actually buried in this town. I believe it was Riverside. Yeah, Riverside, California. And so she went and she checked in Perrin, which is outside of Riverside, at a motel. And then she decided, okay, I'm going to go visit my grandma and grandpa's graves. So she went over to where the cemetery was, and the cemetery did not exist. It was just fields with weeds coming out of it. So she thought that was weird. She passed by where her grandma lived and her aunt's house. Now her grandma lived in a home that was, what is it called? I have to look it up. Her grandma lived in a home. That was a Tudor home. I should have looked that up because I don't actually know what that is. But I do know that is not a ranch style home. When she went to visit her grandma's home, all the homes that were around there, first of all, the grandma's home was not there, but all the homes that were around that area were ranch style homes. But she did pass by the schools, the middle school and then the university. And she noticed they looked the same. So she goes down University Drive around where the college was, and she realized that even though it looked the same, looking out, that the roads, like the little, how lecture halls have different names and areas, they were all different. And she said it looked really, really run down. And so she also went around the town where restaurants were that she was used to, and banks, and they didn't exist. And they were actually like graffiti. And Everything looked completely different. So she was too scared to even ask for directions. She's like, I know I'm at the right place. What's going on? She just went back to her house, or not her house, her motel in Perrin, and that was that. A few years later, her father had passed, though. So her father was going to be buried at the same place that the grandma and grandpa was buried, that she had seen a field in. So she went over to bury her father, and the cemetery was there. Surprisingly enough, her aunt's house was there. Her grandma's home was there. Everything looked the way she had remembered when she lived there in college and not had visited that other time in 2006. So to her, she thinks she had actually driven to Riverside, but like the alternate universe of it. So I looked at what could explain this, if it isn't the alternate universe, what could it have been? And they didn't really have any explanations of any other options that it could have been. But they do with this next case of Lorena Garcia. Now, Lorena Garcia woke up in 2008 and noticed that her bed sheets were a different color. Well, everything else was the same. She didn't really think much of it, kind of ignored the situation. She had to go to work anyway. So she went to work, and she went in her position. That she didn't specify what her position was, but she wasn't in the right area. She was in the wrong department. She still worked for the same company, but she worked for a whole different department and a whole different manager that she didn't the day before. Then, even creepier later on, she has a boyfriend that comes in to her apartment, and this boyfriend is a boyfriend she did have for 7 years, but she had broken up with, or they had broken up. I'm not sure who broke up with who or if it was amicable, but they weren't together anymore. They hadn't been for 6 months, and she had been dating somebody totally new for 4 months. And he didn't know what the heck she was talking about. Like, they're still together. And so she decided she was going to hire a PI to look for her boyfriend that she had for 4 months to prove, like, what's going on? I'm not crazy. So the PI comes back and says, look, nobody of this name or family exists. And then she's like, yeah, well, not in this universe. So she was sure that she somehow was sleeping and came out to an alternate universe, which was our universe where she's living now. So obviously she thinks she came from another universe. However, there are neurological reasons that this could have happened. She could, something could have happened with her frontal lobe and now she just, sort of imagined this whole other life. This actually, can be proven scientifically to, something happened to her brain. And I guess, a lot of things do happen. The brain is like a crazy thing. The heart and the brain, they're your main organs. So I guess if some sort of damage can happen, but how? Why out of nowhere? Why out of nowhere would her brain just do whatever? I don't know what it does because it's, above my knowledge. I'm not a scientist, but they said, something could have happened, and she's just going through life now thinking that she came from another universe. What do you think? Can this be explained through science? Could she have dreamt all of this up and then woke up and kept living in that little fantasy that she was having? Maybe she had unresolved issues with her boyfriend. I mean, she said they had been broken up for 6 months in her other universe. Maybe she was just trying to get rid of him. I mean, whether it be consciously or unconsciously, I don't know. And, I don't know what happened with that boyfriend either. So, I guess we'll never know. I did also find another story that was really interesting about a man traveling to Hong Kong, but it looked really fake, and it did say in a lot of it that it was debunked as an urban legend, that he came and he said he was from the country Torah or something like that, that doesn't exist, but he was like, this country has existed for years, and I've been traveling to Hong Kong from this country for years as well. And the authorities looked at his passport, and his passport looked legit according to the story. And so they just apprehended him. They told him, okay, well, you're going to stay in this hotel. And outside the hotel were, agents making sure he couldn't go anywhere until they got it figured out. Well, the next morning, they go into his room and he's gone. Just like disappeared out of nowhere, has never been seen again. So the theory is that he came from another universe for a short time, unknowingly, and then somehow went back to his universe. That was an urban legend story. The first two stories are considered legit. Lorena's story is legit. It's just, is that what really happened, more or less? Maybe something, like I said, something happened with her brain. I want to know what everybody else thinks. Do you guys believe in different universes? I'm kind of on the fence about it. I don't know. I do dream a lot about myself being like living differently than what I'm living now in different situations. But even then, like, some of them are pretty far-fetched. So how do you determine which dreams are actually you from another universe and just a ridiculous dream? Let me know your thoughts in the comment box down below. I find this stuff really interesting. If you guys like this kind of stuff, let me know. Push the like button. I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, that's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a beautiful night. Thanks for stopping in. Bye.